I'm Erica Hollingsworth, and you're listening to the F1 podcast.
What's up, everyone? It is Richie here from the F1 podcast, season 4, episode 38. I'm here with Andrew and Erica. Final episode of the season, and it is the Formies.
Oh, we're back.
The
So back.
Formies. That's our theme song. The Formies. Ah.
Do a barrel roll.
As is mentioned, I'm here with Andrew and Erica. Hope y'all are doing well. We got some awards to give out. First off, want to thank all of our fans for all the recommendations they gave. Let's get started into it. Our first award of the evening is the Overtake of the Year. Pretty self-explanatory. We're going to give it to the driver who had the best overtake of the season. So our nominees are as follows. Canadian Grand Prix, Alex Albon's double overtake on Daniel Ricciardo and Esteban Ocon. We have Austin Grand Prix, Colapinto's overtake on Alonso to secure points in his 4th ever Grand Prix. Qatar, Charles Leclerc's wheel-to-wheel overtake on his now new teammate, Lewis Hamilton. And lastly, Monza, Piastri's overtake on Norris's so-called papaya rules. Drum roll, please. And the winner of the 2025 Overtake of the Year award is Alex Albon's double overtake on Daniel Ricciardo and Esteban Ocon in the beautiful Canadian Grand Prix. Erica and I were there. That was pretty special. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but it got pretty loud in our section when that happened.
Yeah, we were sitting, as many of you will know and have heard in the past, right by the hairpin. So as they were accelerating out of this is when the action kind of went down. So for those who weren't aware of what was happening, they just heard screaming and were starting to look around. And there were a few folks who witnessed it live and even caught it on the broadcast and on some of the screens around the track, and just truly a great weekend of racing. But that overtake in particular was great to witness in person.
And if you see the helicopter point of view over it, Albon had like the smallest gap, like basically a car width just to even get through the two, and very Ayrton Senna-esque. If you see the gap, you are a racing driver. You go for it. Boom, move right through it on the chicane to the wall of champions and overtook both Danny Rick and Esteban Ocon. So that was quite fun. And you know what? It's always fun to see how some of these, midfield battles have these amazing overtakes as well.
It's too bad that's probably the only highlight of his season.
You lose.
No, he was like a very hot contender for a World Destructors Championship. I think that gets to be showed lightly, We need to celebrate that.
We need to celebrate the chaos and hot mess that is the Williams team at the end of the season in some way. Why not do it now?
I'm already seeing red as it is, or I'm turning red on it. But I think Erica, you got the next red scene award, I think it's called.
I do. So of course, when someone's seeing red, they're angry, they're frustrated. It's not going well for them. And so for us, we decided to sum that up as probably one of the most painful moments any of our teams experienced throughout this past season. And so for that, we had 3 very strong contenders. The first being the Ferrari double DNF in Canada, with Charles's hard tires on a wet surface contributing to his outage there. We have the McLaren team orders in Hungary, aka papaya rules, heavy air quotes. And lastly, we have Lance Stroll binning the car in the gravel on the formation lap in Brazil, which was just awful. So with that said, a heavy sigh instead of a drum roll, please. The winner is McLaren's team orders in Hungary with papaya rules.
You lose.
I personally feel this one deep in my bones. How about you two?
I wonder why you're presenting it then.
Jeez, I wonder why
It's like we
present
had
that one.
It's like we had this plan the whole time.
But yes,
You wanted
Erica,
me
how
to
did
have
you
a public
feel
humiliation.
seeing these rules, considering there was that inflection point in the championship where Lando had a chance to really compete with Max, and these papaya rules really effed it up.
Yeah, this was such a critical point in the season. Red Bull was not looking competitive. It was a chance for McLaren to really fight for those top positions in the World Drivers' Championship. And I understand at that point in time, I think they thought they would continue that extreme dominance that they'd been feeling and kind of showing for a couple of races a little bit longer. But we all know the closer you get to that summer break and the closer you get to, say, the last half third of the season, the wilder stuff starts to get because people are bringing upgrades and you really have no idea what's going on. So if you have that dominant car, you need to maximize it. And they didn't because of these stupid quote unquote strategy calls. And so I personally feel that as much as you want to give Piastri, that chance to develop and do something great, it was also super anticlimactic for him. Truly was. And
And
I just wonder what could have been. Even if they hadn't maintained it, it would have been way more exciting to have a different leader.
also, like, winning your first race in Formula One is like a big deal, and it should be a celebration no matter what. But now he's gonna have to think about that for the rest of his career. It's like my first race win. There's this cloud of controversy. Like, yeah, it's like, oh, where'd you win? Oh, Hungary 2014, 2024. Oh yeah, that was your team screwed up on orders. Yeah. Can you imagine at any cocktail reception he goes to, has to talk about that?
Yeah, it's kind of like you won. Yeah, I won. And that's all she wrote to that conversation. You got nothing else to talk about for the rest of it. So
The
definitely,
weather is the next topic of conversation at that point.
yeah, exactly. You're just like, anyway, what was your sleep score
I'd
on
just
your
say
Fitbit last night?
thank God he won at Azerbaijan. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
Because then at least there's some vindication to winning in F1 for him this season.
exactly. So we were seeing red, but one of our friends was seeing green when it came
Yes.
to another
So
team.
we're gonna dedicate the next award to our good friend of the podcast, Tyler Hatherell. As you know, he's a big Max Verstappen fan.
I didn't
So
know.
you
I
didn't
had I
know?
had no idea. Yeah, no.
Okay. Well, if you
He's
didn't know,
literally never mentioned it.
he
Do a
doesn't have
barrel
a
roll.
flag that has Max Verstappen #1 on it, world champion. Doesn't have that. I don't hear that Max Verstappen is the greatest driver in the world out of his mouth on a consistent basis. But
We've never invited him here to talk about it ever.
nevertheless, in dedication to Tyler Hatherell, we're going to talk about the most impressive Max Verstappen win of the 2024 calendar. Luckily, there's only 9 we have to talk about this year as opposed to 23. So we had Bahrain when he went by like 1,000 seconds. We had that conversation, Richie and I, at Trinity Common at the start of the season that this was going to be ridiculous. Then he won in Saudi Arabia, won in Suzuka, but then it kind of started dying down when he won in won in Shanghai. Then he won at Imola, the Canadian GP, Spain, Sao Paulo to wrap up the championship, and then as well Qatar afterwards. So the most impressive Max Verstappen win goes to the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. Because in essence, that was probably the greatest drive we've ever seen out of this calendar year. It was worthy of a title-winning drive, and to go from the back of the grid to winning on those wet conditions was just immaculate to watch. Listen to our review podcast of that GP, and you'll see we explain in great detail as to why that was the case.
He started from the grid at 17th and he won the race by 19 seconds ahead of Ocon and Gasly. Like, if you want to talk about dominance and way to kind of show that you won the championship 4 times, it's like that is pretty much the most clinical race, I think, in his historical career so far.
Like his car beat a literal boat by 19 seconds.
Do a barrel roll.
Like Alpine's boat was made specifically for the wet conditions, and his car still beat it by 19 seconds. Like, great drive. Like, come on.
And especially after the season he'd had, right? Like this was after a long period of time where people were questioning the car and people's futures with teams and what was going to go down. And what a way to kind of shut down anyone who has said, you're only winning and you're only good because of the machinery you're in. Just like an absolute masterclass and way to kind of button up the season.
And I might say this might be the last year we're doing the Tyler Hatherell Award for the most impressive Max Verstappen win because he might not have many next season as a result of what's going on at Red Bull and their team development. But that is for another rainy day, as it was
We
in Sao Paulo.
digress.
We
Yes.
digress.
We take any free sponsorship or payment of sponsorship if you want that new title. Just looking out to our fans there. But you want to talk about staying and in titles or positions. Who overstayed their welcome award? And it's pretty self-explanatory. Who was in their seat too long that probably needed to go quicker? You know, Sergio Perez, Daniel Ricciardo, Esteban Ocon, or Logan Sargent. And the winner of the 2024 Overstayed Their Welcome Award, pretty unanimously,
I wonder who this could be.
Sergio Perez.
What? Are you serious? No way.
Well, let's talk about this. First couple of races of the season, we did see him on the podium, whereas I thought he's going to play his position. But then, I think it was Canada onwards, or maybe it was Spain onwards. It was just inconsistency after inconsistency, not being able to qualify. He signed his contract, re-signed his contract, was not able to qualify for Q3. I don't know, like Logan Sargent was out qualifying at certain points. And then there was conversations of whether if he should stay in that position or not. I mean, they should have probably gone with Liam Lawson at the halfway point of the season. I think I've been berated that comment this whole time. But yeah, I mean, sorry for this award, but it's kind of true.
It truly makes me laugh because everyone was talking about how Checo's on his way out. There's no way, but the car is trash and he's been raising flags for a while, but at the same time, how is he so far behind Max? And then he re-signed and we were all very confused. And then the second the ink dried, I don't know what happened. But it just proved that it was time to go, and I am still shocked that they wrote out the rest of the season.
I mean, like 4 podiums in his first 5 GPs, and then he goes retirement at Monaco and that crash with K-Mag, retires in Canada, and then from there he didn't finish higher than P6. Oh, way to protect your teammate at the top of the field, brother. And you literally cost your team money in the constructors. You literally cost your employees bonuses. So yeah, definitely way overstayed his welcome in that chair. And I'm a huge Sergio Perez fan, big advocate for him when he first came into that seat. But man, yeah, as Erica says, once the ink dried, so did his driving acumen.
In one ear, out the other, honestly. Don't even know. But you know what? Every now and then when someone overstays their welcome, it's kind of like when an outfit's going out of style and you're kind of wondering if you should, take it out of rotation, put it on the back burner, find a different place for it, or maybe just get rid of it, right? And so that kind of leads me to think of our new award, our next award here, which is the Lewis Hamilton Fashion Award for Best Race Day Attire. As we all know, there are some folks that work in the paddock who take the race day attire very seriously. It may as well be a red carpet and a fashion show for other folks. Team gear is good enough. Who doesn't like looking like a toddler who's been dressed by their parents? But we decided to talk about some of the best ones. So what we had was Abu Dhabi, Lewis Hamilton's wardrobe transfer over 3 days from white to red. Talk about making a statement on your team change to Ferrari. We have the Australian Grand Prix with Valtteri Bottas's Albert Park themed race day attire. Of course, he was going to find some way to incorporate Australia in there a little bit more, and he did a bang-up job. We've also got Imola with George Russell's 50s inspired race day attire, which I'm a sucker for anything that's just kind of like retro, old school. So that
Even had the goggles too to
he
go
had
with
the
it.
goggles, the old school racing goggles. I love it. Fourth, we have Lewis Hamilton nominated again at the Monaco GP for his various Dior outfits that he was wearing. I mean, just add spectacle to a race that's all about spectacle. And lastly, we have the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix with Bono dressing in Lewis Hamilton's Tommy Hilfiger outfit, which if you did not see that, I highly recommend looking it up because it will make your day. And so that's our short list of 5, and we will have a little drum roll to announce our winner. And the winner is Bono dressing in Lewis's Tommy Hilfiger outfit at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. I truthfully love this so much. I brought the photo up here just to remind me. But one, anytime someone's wearing a Canadian tuxedo is a good day. Second, when it's the person who's typically just toeing the line in the team uniform making a statement like that, just what a way to lift everyone's spirits.
In fairness, Bottle looked like a snack in that outfit.
I just love that he's posing. There's like a photo and Lewis has his arm around him and he's just making a duck face at the camera, like, ooh, like he's giving his best blue steel. However, unlike Zoolander, we do know that Bono can turn left, which is very important in race car driving.
Or at least he can tell someone to turn left.
At least he can tell someone. He might not be. Maybe that's why he's so good at telling people when to turn. It's because he can't do it himself and he really wants to. Lewis, do what I can't. Turn left.
Oh, so from one fashion outfit to another, Martin Brundle has made it very fashionable doing his grid walks and making very awkward moments throughout these grid walks. So we decided to come up with a new award this year called the Brundles Award. Basically, it's the best, most awkward Martin Brundle grid walk moment of the season.
Try saying that 5 times.
Brundles bundles, like it's
Brundles
just,
bundles, Brundles bundles,
Bundles.
Brundles bundles, Brundles bundles, Brundles bundles.
and I think this is one we need to keep saying because it just gets better every year, after every race. So we have 4 nominees. The first one being the British Grand Prix, where Rowan Atkinson pretty much imitated Martin on the grid without really Martin cluing in about it at all. And it took him like 45 seconds to kind of understand what was going on, which is hilarious. The second one was the Monaco Grand Prix when Brundle had his encounter with Kylian Mbappe and his security, and where he famously quoted out saying, "I'm in charge around here." That's right, Martin. You stand up for yourself. And then the next two are both at the United States Grand Prix in Austin, who Brundle was unaware of who Gabby Thomas was, and she was, she only won 3 gold medals this year at the Paris Olympic Games. And then the fourth being Colapinto just completely ignoring Brundle on the grid and running away from him. Considering it was kind of his first few races, he just did not want to talk to the media. It was great. So this year, the Brundle Award goes to
Brundle.
Yeah, bundle. It's like a bundle. Monaco GP, basically sticking up for himself in front of Mbappe's security guard, saying, "You know what, mate? I'm the one in charge around here, not you."
Can you imagine you going to one of the top football players in the world and be like, "Hey, man, don't care who you are. I'm X."
There's just so many good moments of that. Like you've seen it at so many races over the years where these celebrities have their security teams and posses, and he's just going like, "What are you guys doing? Like, excuse me." And this was absolutely top tier. Absolutely top tier. A man at the end of his rope just laying down the law.
He was like, "I'm tired of this BS. I'm going to put my foot down here. I don't care if you're, if you scored a hat trick in the World Cup final there 2 years ago. This is my time, baby. Get the hell out of here."
And we're obviously seeing that on a consistent basis of just like celebrities that come onto the thing and come onto the pit lane or just on the track and have just no idea what to do. And I don't know if it's like, I think, is it a requirement that like they have to talk to media when they go on there, or is it because clearly it's still
like Miami is the worst for it too. Because we get all of these American celebrities on there who have no clue what the hell, a steering wheel looks like in the cockpit. And they're like, "Oh, I'm just going to walk around because it's cool, it's hip." And then Martin Brundle comes up with the question and they have no idea how to answer. So instead of just telling him to kind of, politely screw off. They got to have their security detail to come out and do it for them.
All I gotta say, anyone wants to bring us to the pit lane, we'll talk.
Yeah, we'll
But
talk. I'll talk your ear off. You're gonna wish I would stop talking, and I'm gonna still be talking. So
that could be.
maybe just invite those two and not me.
No, because you would be talking and then Brundle would try to walk away. You're like, I'm not done yet. Rip him back.
I'd be like, wait, I have more to say. Wait,
Say,
sir.
get over here.
I totally forgot. An honorable mention. I think it was like the new British when the Labour Party came into power. When Martin Brundle was, I think, at the British Grand Prix, the new Minister of Sport or Secretary staff was like, "Oh, Martin Brundle, here's the new sport minister, wants to talk to you," and he's like, "Yeah, that's cool. I'm not going to give you free. Just not going to give you free to." I remember that. I forgot about that list. But talking about funny moments, what do you meme award? I mean, best meme worthy moment of the 2024 season. We got some fun ones. Carlos and Zach taking team photos with each other's teams. Lance Stroll just being Lance Stroll in general. Charles' family.
You are a meme, Lance. Just saying.
Charles' family adopting Oscar at the Monaco GP, leaving Carlos jealous in a daze. Or Valtteri Bottas's 52-second pit stop in Bahrain and a 30-second pit stop in Melbourne due to a variety of team and equipment issues. Something about a flashback to 2021. Oh, yes, the nut bowl. Yeah.
It's like war flashbacks back to Monaco.
Charlie was everywhere.
So it's no secret. I think we know what the meme award will go to, and that is Valtteri Bottas's long pit stop. And I just needed a reminder what exactly the issue was. His pit stop on lap 30, the front left wheel nut became cross-threaded, which delayed the stop by almost a minute. Bottas called the stop second worst in history. Staked F1.
Because he's had another wheel nut issue that was worse. How bad is that?
Stake F1 investigated the issue and revised parts to prevent it from happening again. Also, the issue continued in the next race in Saudi Arabia, where Zhou was held up in the pit lane. And then, the cherry on top, not once, not twice, but 3 times, the issue also resurfaced in Melbourne, where Bottas's car experienced another lengthy stop. Thank you, AI. This helped me. Goes to show that, I think one thing that's stake if they want to pay attention to next year is pit stops.
Or just basic team equipment.
So, the easiest, well, again, I've never done it, but from an outsider's perspective, one of the things you absolutely can control that is within your grasp is a pit stop. Like every once in a while something happens, but this is this is a bit. It sounds like a bit. It doesn't sound like it's something that happened to an actual professional organization.
Yeah.
And
one that's German owned and operated. The Germans very straight, efficient, do process by the book. Nope.
It's that German engineering that's on display there.
I mean, it's a wheel nut. How did you not figure this out?
Of all the things, it's the one you'd think that they would have down pat. But speaking of big disappointments in the pit lane, we've had big disappointments elsewhere throughout Formula One in this last year, whether on the track, off the track, behind the scenes, all kinds of things. So our next award, why am I presenting all of the really depressing ones?
No, that's a good question.
But I just noticed that I'm doing Seeing Red and biggest disappointment.
You did the fashion award.
I'm the bearer of bad news. Like, hey guys, I'm just here to tell you about what sucks in F1.
I'm sadness.
My name's Eeyore. My tail fell. Anyway. Back to the point here. The biggest disappointment of the year, we have 4 nominees in this category. First up, we have Sergio Perez, as we mentioned, having so many inconsistencies and really costing Red Bull the World Constructors' Championship. We have Alpine for how they were handling the situation with Ocon, which was just fumbled. There was so many things that happened there. We have the Sauber team for literally not giving a shit about this season. Those are the exact words in our document. I will say their social media team did give a shit though,
They
and
knocked
they
it out of
did
the park.
awesome. And lastly, the FIA for being so incredibly soft and butthurt about everything. And with those nominees, the winner of the biggest disappointment of the year is.
I'll do a sigh. I'll do.
Yeah, give us another sigh. Another sigh.
Oh.
Oh, the FIA. Wah, wah.
Oh.
Now, this has obviously been a theme over the course of the last couple of years, but there have been a few more things that they have put out there that just absolutely infuriate me as a spectator of this sport.
Just think about this. It's first offense within a 2-year period for F1 drivers will get a 40,000 euro fine. Second offense comes with 80,000 euro fine. Spend 1 month ban. A third offense has 120,000 fine and 1 month suspension plus deduction of championship points.
And this is just like such a general like misconduct.
Oh yeah,
And
I
it's
love how
around
they defined it. The general use of language, gesture, and or sign that is offensive, insulting, coarse, rude, and abusive. Hello, FIA. Why the hell do you think we watch the radio comms?
it's the most entertaining part of everything. And also like for an
Do you think I listen to
organization,
GP and Max talk about how car's 4 seconds behind? No, I want to hear Max swearing at GP for how bad the strategy is.
and to boot, it's one of those things where there's so many other fines for random stuff like speaking up about causes and conditions in the places where they are that this is just like another kind of nail in the performative wokeness coffin of the FIA in Formula One. I don't know how else to
But
put
it's
it.
like you can't then be able to criticize the FIA in their decision-making process. And knowing how bad it's been over the past few years, that it really like the censorship is just actually quite disgusting, in my opinion. And the fact that your second offense gets you a 1 month ban, I'm like, you're losing 2 races, 3 races potentially.
And
Like
especially go ahead, Erica, sorry.
like that, and especially to like deduct championship points for comments, like think about things people have said over the years. I wonder, like, has anyone gone back to be like, oh, hey, if this were in place in the 2021 season, what would that championship have looked like to everyone at this point, right? Because we've seen incendiary comments flown about between drivers. We've had people storm, like, this is my thing. Sometimes we've had drivers storming over to garages after like heated moments. Is that going to be part of what's being impacted? Because that's unsportsmanlike conduct or something. I don't know.
See,
But
like
all I gotta
that's
say is solid thumbs down to the FIA. Thumbs down. Like, not even a boo, not a middle finger. Just, I'm giving you a deadpan, blank, dead-eyed thumbs down. Just with a subtle head shake. Just,
Speaking of disappointments, we had disappointments last year, but they have been able to turn it around.
oh.
And just like at the hairpin in Montreal, you do a nice little U-turn there at the bottom. And so we're going to do a nice little U-turn, the best season turnaround for the 2024 year. The first nominee is McLaren, going from let's say pretenders to world drivers and championship contenders.
Oh.
oh
Second, Sainz. This was very much in season, having a appendicitis in Saudi Arabia, and then pretty much winning 2 weeks later in Australia, saying, screw that crap, all done. Third one is Haas's turnaround from 23 to 24. And then the fourth one is Pierre Gasly going from $2.426 million worth of damages in 2023 to being the only racer to have no damage recorded this year. So fantastic award. Sorry, fantastic nominees. The best nominees, the best. And the drum roll, please, for the U-turnaround goes to Haas's turnaround from 2023 to 2024.
big.
Oh,
Yeah, round of applause,
Big.
lads.
oh,
Round
just
of applause.
I mean, if you listen to our preseason predictions, I said they weren't going to score a point at all this season. I had little faith. to be fair, Io kind of lied to us and said that our car is going to be garbage for the first few races, and I'm pretty sure they scored points. Prick,
Well,
how dare
well, not
you?
only, yeah, what? Oh,
No,
sorry.
no, no. I was talking to Io. I was saying, how dare you lie to us like that?
Well, I just
Cleary's just out here insulting you for no reason.
Yeah.
first time doing the pod with the AirPods, so it's on me. But on a serious note, like what an incredible season what they like Haas was able to do. I mean, I'm pretty sure I said under 6.5 points at the start of our predictions. And I mean, yes, Kevin Magnussen had to play bumper cars for a couple of the races in order for Nico Hulkenberg to get it. But they're able to pull it off. And I think for a team that like, how long were they going to be in Formula One if they kept, not doing well? And, we did criticize is like, why are you going back to your old drivers and not like invest in more young, like youth and younger drivers? And clearly it paid off.
Yeah, I mean, just looked it up, Cleary, and they didn't score points in the first race, but Hulkenberg did score a point in the second race. So it was already very promising. And again, this was a team that, because of budgeting and turnover at a high level, I think no one really had expectations for them, but they finished the season like much better than I would have thought. Like they came seventh out of 10. Like three teams finished lower than them, including teams you probably wouldn't expect. Like, I don't know, what do we even call them? V-Carb, Visa Cash App, Racing Bulls, what it
Yeah.
was at the time, Williams, and Sauber.
Yeah, and like it was in the sense too, um, at the beginning of the season, we were all complaining about, Gunther Steiner leaving, right? You're like, how could you do that to him from a team principal perspective? He's like, an essence of Formula One. Turned out to be probably the best decision they made all season, to be fair, right?
Yeah.
Bringing in Io and really turning the philosophy around from kind of like to a very heavy engineering perspective and maximizing the value of every dollar they put into the car.
One thing I'm also excited for, because Ollie Behrman will be racing with them next year, and he scored points in two of the three races that he took part in this past season, a P7 and a P10, which for having 24 drivers racing put him at P18 for the season as well. So, you know what? I think they might do an okay job next year if they keep this momentum going. Just my 2 cents.
Snaps for Ollie.
Snaps. Snaps. And also
Little,
snaps
little,
for
little
this
legally.
Ollie.
Oh yeah, snaps for Ollie. There you go. Ollie the cat. Little Legally Blonde reference if anybody wanted to know.
Snap cup.
You said what? They said what? And we're going to present the They Said What Award. This is the best quotes from the 2024 season. I see. I tried. I was
That
mentally
was a good
thinking
one,
of
JR.
that.
I love it.
I was thinking of it for the last 2 minutes. Okay, so self-explanatory. What was the best quotes from 2024 season? And like you said before, I could only win in the fastest car. Max's dig to Zach Brown after Max clinches his fourth drivers' championship at the Las Vegas Grand Prix. F me, this is boring. I should have brought my pillow. Max during the race at Monaco. End of an era. Basically, Lewis's very heartfelt message of him leaving at the end of the season, Mercedes. And then CC, lots of Italian noises. Mamma Mia. Wonder who wrote this. If Charles' reaction at winning at Monza. And so the winner, no secret. Drum roll, please. Max Verstappen's comment at Zach Brown. And my favorite comment I just found on Reddit was if you see the photo of him saying it to him, quote, dude just launched a nuke with a smile. I mean, like it was exciting towards the end of the season because we didn't know what to anticipate if Lando was gonna catch him, but like Max just absolutely just destroyed Zach, and I'm surprised he was still standing there.
I kind of just expected to see a smoking pair of shoes where Zach Brown once stood once that was done.
In fairness, though, I don't think Max had dug into the gin and tonics at that point, but I wonder
Oh
what a
God.
couple of gin and
Oh
tonics would
yeah.
have done to that quote.
Because even after the gin and tonic started flowing, when people would be interviewing him and stuff, so much quality content.
Unbelievable.
Like, I'm kind of curious. Obviously, we don't know if they text each other, but I wonder if Max was like egged on by one of his buddies, if he's just like sending texts to Zach Brown or like photos inside a club after. Oh
That's
my
still my
gosh.
favorite. That's still my favorite. Someone made a compilation of all the interviews Max did that night and him just getting progressively more drunk. And just like, hey, I ran out of beer, and then it's gin and tonic in a water bottle because he can't have alcohol. And then he's talking to the Dutch people, and he just doesn't give an F about what the rules are. Yeah, that's like one of my favorite interviews of all time.
Wonder if the
I'm
FIA would
surprised
fine him
one of
for
the
that
hotels
niche.
in Vegas didn't get him like a souvenir cup.
Oh, just think of the marketing if he's running around with
Oh,
like a Caesar's Palace cup or something like
or
that.
like one of those like frosé Eiffel Tower drinks from Paris. Oh my God.
I don't really take him as a frozen daiquiri type of guy, to be
I
very
don't.
honest.
You know what? It could surprise you. I honestly think that he's the type of person who would get a Dole Whip and pour some rum in it at Disney if
Oh,
given the
oh,
opportunity.
oh my God. Don't get
So,
me started. It's so good.
speaking of things that are good, there are also things that are great. In our next award, we have titled the Michael Schumacher GOAT, Greatest of All Time Award, for our season MVP. Now,
Oh, look
quite
at
a
that,
few.
Erica. You're doing a very positive award now.
You know what? I am actually thrilled. I did notice that, and I was like, wow,
Woohoo!
guys, I'm well-rounded.
Yeah, see, that's a great value you bring. You could do the harshest ones, but then the best of ones, right? You have such a great range.
We call that range. Exactly. So, with that said, we had a couple of very strong contenders this year because this was a standout season for a lot of different drivers. We saw so many people winning races, a variety we've not had in like a
Ever.
lifetime.
Yeah.
So, with that said, the names that stood out to us, obviously Max Verstappen, who we just mentioned, made the list. Lando Norris for his strong contender for the Drivers' Championship. Charles Leclerc, which was a far better season than we've seen in quite some time from Ferrari, him specifically winning some races of great sentimental value as well. Oscar Piastri with some maiden victories this year. Carlos Sainz Jr. tallying up, adding things to that trophy case and being a great teammate. But we also had a administrative nominee, an Ayo Komatsu from the team over at Haas. And with that said, our GOAT Michael Schumacher season MVP is Ayo Komatsu. Hey. I mean, we already kind of raved about him a little bit, but any additional thoughts we would like to share with the crowd here about the season for them?
He turned it around, and I think that is pretty much self-explanatory.
Yeah, and I think like where the position that he's put Haas in, hopefully for the future, is gonna like just keep boosting them into the midfield to the team that they were once, 2016, 2018 when they had great success. Hopefully that transitions into 2025, especially with their new partnership with Toyota, and then especially into 2026 when the new regs come in. Could they compete? Who knows?
I
But
think that'll
at the
be
beginning, like if you told me. I didn't think Haas would have a chance at Helen competing in 2026. With Iowa at the helm, anything's possible.
I think that'll be a really interesting challenge for him to take on with just when in time he kind of took over for the team. So I'm hopeful that he continues on this momentum and who knows, maybe he's got some cool tricks up his sleeve and whatnot to bring to the team. And if they continue on this, who's to say they won't get some really awesome sponsorship money coming in the door and
Hopefully,
good
it's just
things
not Rich
happening.
Energy or whatever that company was.
Oh, yeah. Well, ugh. Anyway. Clearly, I have a lot of thoughts on that one.
But for going for Person of the Year, we're going to think big picture now, and we're going to do the Race of the Year.
Hmm.
All right, we have some quite good nominees. There was quite a few compelling races this season. First nominee is the Miami GP, where Lando Norris picked up his first win in F1, and he did a great job in doing so. The second one is the Italian Grand Prix with Charles's win in Italy in front of the Tifosi. John, you must have been, it was fun to watch, and it must have been great just to be, say, a Ferrari fan. The second one is the
CC
Monaco Grand Prix.
fantastico,
Sorry, go ahead.
fantastico.
Oh,
CC fantastico, fantastico.
fantastic. CCC, it's inaudible Italian noises. Mamma mia. Anyway, so the third nomination being the Monaco Grand Prix, where Charles finally got the monkey off his back and won the race at home. His first of hopefully many at the Monaco Grand Prix. The fourth one is Lewis winning at the British Grand Prix in his last season with Mercedes, and the kind of that, tear-jerking, heartfelt, warming moment seeing him cross the finish line in P1. The fifth nominee is the Brazilian Grand Prix of Sao Paulo, where it was the chaotic race that defined Max's title season. Sixth nominee is the Canadian Grand Prix that saw the drive wet race with the Albon overtake that led to a great battle between Lando and Max, with Max pipping the edge there and winning the race. And then we had the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, which was Oscar's second race win, but he had an overtake of the ages to win. I believe it was on Charles Leclerc, if I'm not mistaken, too. Really proving that the first win at Hungary, we could say it wasn't a fluke because he has the capabilities to win more races in F1. So the nominee or the winner for race of the year goes to the Brazilian Grand Prix, baby. I mean, Brazil over the past few years has never failed to disappoint. And this was like the most climactic result I think anyone could have asked for this year. It was wet. It was crazy. I mean, we had a double Alpine podium,
Like,
plus Max coming from all the way back in P17 to win the Grand Prix. And, we saw Lance Stroll being a complete idiot in the first part of the race, which kind of set the tone for, it's that anything can be better than that. And it was. So,
I know we've already talked about Max's race here, but yeah, that double Alpine podium, of all the bets I could have made, I think that's one of the lowest on the list of probability that I would have put on there.
I mean, that race made them 35 million bucks.
That's insane. What?
For
Yeah, well, because
the
the
jump in
jumping,
the
yeah.
Constructors' Championship money for them doing the double podium that race, considering they were at the bottom, it basically boosted their winnings by $35 million this year.
Oh my God. Yeah, because I guess that put them above Haas, and they were probably behind
Well,
VCAR, but
they were
before
like
that too, right?
P9. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Oh my
like
God.
I think this was the hardest award. I even talked to Tyler when I presented this to him. And he said, he's like, yeah, these are like we had such memorable races this season. But yeah, that Brazil, like that, like in the end of the day, I think we picked the right one on this one, just of what happened.
Because not only did that race kickstart Alpine, Pierre Gasly had like two top 10 finishes at the end of the season, which really then hammered home that P6 spot over Haas. So it was really the catalyst for them to finish well off the season. And to think at the beginning, we were talking at Monaco of replacing Ocon, and that was basically the end of his F1 career. So, I mean,
Still around.
still around.
We were wrong.
And lastly, to finish off the 2025 Form1es award, we have the DTS Storyline of the Year. Driver marker chaos that began with Lewis Hamilton going to Ferrari, Max versus George, a new created heated rivalry on the grid and also maybe on the tennis court, or a record-breaking year. I think it's no secret. I'm going to give this award to, well, I'm not going to give it. We voted on it, but it's a record-breaking year. From the multiple race winners, you had what, 7 different race winners. Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri winning their first. This is the field that's been closest in a couple of years. I mean, Constructors' Championship was wide open with Alpine. We just talked about jumping 9th to 6th. I mean, all the drama with now Lewis going to Ferrari, McLaren's Miami upgrade, Carlos Sainz winning after his appendicitis got taken out, Charles winning at home, winning in Italy. I think I read the stat, 6.5 million fans attended the 2024 season. making its world record, not world record, breaking records. And yeah, it was a season to remember, that's for sure.
I mean, this was one with some very honorable mentions in the category. I mean, I got this past weekend the flashbacks and memories on social media of Lewis announcing the change, which, what a way to kick things off before we even had a car unveiled. My goodness. And then, yeah, new rivalries on the grid, but truly, as you said, like so many firsts this year, which I'm excited. I'm hoping that 2025 brings more of that and more. We've got some new faces on the grid. Will that bring some new stuff? Will some of these teams we wouldn't expect to be at the front suddenly be vying for a podium? I don't know.
And what was kind of, I guess, in my opinion, when they did these new regulations, this is where I think they were going to go, right? This is where they wanted the racing to go so that really any of the top four teams could win the Constructors' Championship. And we had that all season. We had four different constructors win races. We had seven different people, as mentioned, win multiple races, right? It
Yeah.
was wide open. It was fun. The racing was great. And I'm excited to see what 2025 has in store going forward off this record-breaking year because we have a ton of new rookies. We have new faces in new places, and it is going to be a wild season.
And it's going to be season 5 of this podcast. Crazy to
Woo!
think that it's already season 5. Um, on that note, we're going to end the Formies off here. A little quick
Great
announcement.
job, everybody. Good job on the Form1es this
Yeah,
year.
round of applause for
Round of
ourselves.
applause.
Pat on the
Thank
back.
you for all the nominations and obviously the amazing co-hosts, Andrew and Erica. Thank you so much as I point this way on Zoom
Yeah,
and that way
I
on
don't know where
Zoom.
I am on your screens,
I
but
think it's going to be like this on the YouTube video. We'll figure it out. Also, just really quickly, I'm going to be at the auto show on Media Day, so in Toronto. So I hope I get to meet all of you. We're going to have some fun reels coming around, and stay tuned for the 5th season of the F1 podcast. I'm Ricci. That's Erica. That's Andrew. Thank you all for all the support. Make sure to follow us on all of our social media channels and tune into next year for the next year of the Formies. Thanks, everyone.
Namaste.
adios.